Procrastination. Ugh. It's such a painful and frustrating feature of ADHD that most people put off talking about it. But I'm not going to. Hi, I'm Dr. Margaret Cochran, and this is Wisdom, Love, and Magic. As we discussed previously, ADHD is a constellation of behaviors and ways of thinking that involves inattention, hyperfocus, problems with planning, difficulty with follow-up and follow-through, challenges with time management, organization, clutter, regulating emotions, excessive physical activity, impulsivity, compulsivity, and anxiety. These symptoms cause huge problems both in the context of relationships and with their impact on self-esteem. For example, I've heard various versions of the following many, many times. I don't have motivation problems. I know I can do whatever is necessary. I just don't. I'm lazy. Or, why can't I just do this? Other people just do it. I'm just lazy and no good. With ADHD, starting a task, even something you like, can just feel too hard. It's almost a sense of physical pain to get going. And as I mentioned in an earlier video, non-ADHD or neurotypical people can take offense and or see a person with ADHD as unreliable and lazy. It's not a choice. It is a problem of dopamine utilization in the brain. Dopamine is produced in your midbrain, which is located exactly where it sounds like it is, in the middle of your brain. Dopamine is a vital neurotransmitter that travels various pathways. The first of the pathways of concern in procrastination is your mesolimbic pathway. In this system, dopamine travels from your midbrain to structures in your limbic system. And the limbic system is in charge of emotions. And it's here that you learn what things are rewarding, like chocolate or video games, or not so rewarding, like cleaning and homework. The next pathway that's featured in motivation is a mesocortical pathway. In this system, dopamine travels from your midbrain to your prefrontal cortex. This is where something called executive functioning takes place. Executive functioning governs things like short-term memory, planning, and decision-making. Stimulants like Ritalin, Vyvanse, Adderall, and others increase dopamine transport in its pathways, which facilitates improvement in executive functioning. However, even with the chemical assist that medications provide, it can still be quite challenging to experience pleasure and satisfaction, get organized, and start and complete tasks. Unfortunately, the medications I mentioned predominantly affect the mesocortical pathway, and the mesolimbic system, not so much. So you may still struggle with motivation. And then medication wears off. When you're out of your dopamine booster, you're back at ground zero, and you might just be in the middle of an important project at the time. Not good. While most medications are time-released, which means exactly what it sounds like, it can be a good idea to have some short-acting stimulant medication at your disposal if you have a task or project that might continue beyond the time parameters of your extended-release medication. Am I telling you that medications are useless? Far from it. They're helpful tools, to be sure. They just may not be able to address all the challenges that ADHD presents. Now, I'm not a physician, and I cannot legally advise you as to whether or not medications are right for you. As always, discuss any medication issues and questions with your prescriber. Just know that they won't solve every challenge that ADHD presents all the time and for every person. Motivation in ADHD is driven by interest, urgency, degree of challenge, and novelty. One of the ways to improve motivation is to find techniques to weave as many of the 4 factors I listed into what you need to do as possible. So let's address these. Interest. You may or may not be fascinated by history, math, or some English class you're required to take. This can be effectively addressed by studying and in general interacting with others who are focused on working. You'll find just being around people who are productive will stimulate you to do the same. Urgency. Your brain is going to resist planning, and that's why you tend to do everything at the last minute. It's best to make the plan, though, literally writing it down on a whiteboard or other large and obvious visual surface, delineating exactly when you're going to do what. Work in chunks of time. Set a timer and work for 20 minutes or so. And because you've set out in your planner how much you need to do and on what days you need to do it to achieve your goal, when you've worked your allotted time, stop. Don't work past that, and then do something fun. Remember to work with others. Get a study buddy or accountability partner and or ask for help in setting up the structure I've just described. Do not study or work where you sleep or play. These kinds of locations will cause problems as you'll find them very distracting. Your ADHD brain can sometimes be, shall we say, a little stubborn, and it does not always want to enlist the assistance of others. However, doing so can make the difference between success and failure in all aspects of your life. Degree of challenge. The problem with challenge is you're not always good at determining how difficult a task may be or how long it will or will not take. One of the most useful skills you can employ to address this is to prioritize and partialize your tasks. This means that you figure out what's most important to do and break it down into small, achievable bits. Again, this may be challenging, so don't be afraid to ask for help. Novelty. Finding ways to make things interesting is extremely helpful. It can be something as simple as doing work in a different location, or while listening to music, or again with friends and colleagues. Suggestions I have made here are tried and true techniques that really help. The trick is your ADHD brain may not feel very motivated to do the things that will help fix your procrastination or address other facets of ADHD. So we're back to the most important thing of all, asking for help. And remember, asking for help can take many forms. You can get it from a professional and or from a friend or colleague who functions as your accountability buddy. Bottom line, reach out. I know it can be challenging and frustrating at times, but please don't give up. And always remember the immense power in working with others who understand ADHD and can keep you honest and moving forward toward the achievement of your goals. Until next time, I'm Dr. Margaret Cochran. Be safe and be well.